Hello and welcome back to Exploring the Black Country, another episode today. In Stourbridge now, starting a bit of a Stourbridge series just down the canal line, and then I might today go down the canal, then go up to where the Delph Locks is, which is going to be an interesting video. It is a bit windy out there, but I'm in a church at the moment. So this is St Mary's Church in Oldswinford, just before we get into Stourbridge. And the reason why I want to show you this one, because there's a lot of history behind it. It's not just that. The stained glass windows are absolutely beautiful into here. And the place is just absolutely amazing. So if I just pan around, I will show you the windows. So I just spoke to the vicar of the church, really lovely person. But I'm going to come down and show you the stained glass windows to begin with. Look at these. They are just absolutely beautiful. The light shining through them, I can imagine when the sun's coming right the way through. Look at that, it's like a cathedral. I mean, you look how high up the building is. The church itself, look at that, the ceiling. Even patterns along the ceiling up there where I'm looking, look. And you've got like the metal beams. I think there's a metal or wood with patterns onto there, look, and each one going all the way down. That is just absolutely stunning. Beautiful stained glass window on that corner. Another stained glass window there. You know, to have a church like this within Oldswinford, it's just crazy. I mean, this was something like you would expect in the countryside, really beautiful. But yeah, it is definitely worth checking out. If you've never been to Oldswinford Church, this is where the history begins for the area. You can imagine this would have been here many, many years ago. It's just amazing. So we'll go and check out the other side down here as well. I will show you a nice bit of patterns onto the walls. If I just come down, you have got the organ. Look how tall up the organ is. It's quite a tall one compared to the other churches that I've been to. And then looking over there, look at these stained glass windows here. Wow. The reason why I love churches, the architecture is just out this world. It's beautiful. Look at that. But you imagine, like I said, imagine the sunshine beaming through there. It'd be absolutely nice to see that. I mean, coming down, we have got some like chairs here. Sorry if it's a bit dark, but look at the chairs. I mean, there's patterns on that one, got like a cross. Nice like wooded architecture all the way around, look. And plaques remembering like things for Oldswinford. Wow. One more pan around just to show you. Absolutely beautiful architecture. Wow. So right, let's go and take a look down here. Look at this. I mean, those on there are just wow. That is really cool just to see those. There's different symbols marking for different things. Like if I just walk down the pews, you can just see, getting a bit close to that one, the different colours in these. You got St Mark, St Luke, St John. So they mark, each one marks something completely different. Look, St John. But I'm going to come round here because this is interesting. Now, tying to the Black Country history, you may have heard of James Foster. Now, you had Foster Rastrican Company, which is down the canal down Stourbridge. And I think that is actually Line Healthcare now, I believe. So we will go down there, I will show you that. But this up here is a memorial to James Foster. Let's go and take a look. Just pan around because this ties into the Stourbridge history for the Black Country. So, sacred to the memory of James Foster, late of Stoughton Castle. Oh, right, Stoughton Castle, because I never knew that. Because that's that big castle right the way down Stourbridge Canal that meets to Stoughton. I might check out that at some point as well. In the county of Stafford, who departed this life the 12th day of April 1853. So that has been many, many years ago. But James Foster is the one who loved to do with Foster Rastrican Company. Yeah, there was quite a lot down the Stourbridge Canal. I mean, you had that company, you had the bonded warehouse, which I'll show you later, used for storing goods back in the past. I mean, that's been there for many, many years. But wow, nice, interesting history. But let's pan around, let's take a look at these walls here, because there is stunning architecture. I mean, look at this one. The colours in that are just beautiful. To see the way these are made, that is really stunning. Imagine the art and work to craft these like stained glass windows. I mean, this one's interesting. You've got HMS Cressy sunk by a torpedo in the September the 22nd, 1914, just in a gap in the wall, look. That is cool seeing that. That's a bit of history. And then you've got some things here, look. You've got Oldswinford House. This one was actually killed in action in 1916 in Egypt. Look at that. Gave his life for the country. Wow. That is really beautiful for there. And you've got Percival Foster as well. So that is actually the son of William Foster, Stourton Court. So I don't know whether it's actually linked into the James Foster family, but you can see there is another Foster on the wall up there, so you can just see it, look. And looking down, there is even a Gartha Mary Downing daughter, the Reverend Henry Downing, rector of this parish in 1800. So you can just see how far this church even dates back. It's just crazy. Look at that, nice like little candle burning on the corner, look. So if we just come back through, I mean, looking back down here, look at this. I mean, these windows on this corner, they're sort of like St Thomas's Church in Stourbridge town centre. I mean, they don't have much like stained glass into them. There's like a bit of a yellow pattern into the small areas into there, look. I mean, walking down, we have got the like, little piano there. Seeing those back stained glass windows is really quite cool. But the best parts are down here, so I will show you in a bit. You've got the Baptist stand right in the corner. So this one here is Richard Foley. Died, I think that's 1657, age 77. So that is dating back, wow, 16th century. So you imagine how old this brick is on the floor, 1716. Wow. That is really impressive. More architecture here, look at all this. That is amazing to see the way that's carved. Look at that. To say that's not impressive, that is way over impressive. That is to see that's proper craftsmanship there. That is real proper craftsmanship. Look at that. Wow. And you've got the, there's a board there. I see these in quite a lot of churches. You've got St Canals by me, I've seen one of those. Just walking over here, you've got more memorials on the wall. You've got Francis Walker, Anne Walker, 1842. So that's dating back a bit as well, 1841. So they died between a part of each other, bless them. That's the 18th century. And you've got the church linen chest, look how old this is. Very old locks, look. And there is something underneath it, but that's put on top of it, so I don't know what that's about underneath. Right, but you can just see chairs a bit better, look at those. Wow. And a bit of like stuff into here, material, very old. It's cased into this. Look at that. Very old like memorials up there as well, look. Well, that is actually the Baptist stand, look at that. Wow. So yeah, as I'm walking this down, I will tell you a bit of information. So the name Oldswinford is now used for a small area of Stourbridge close to the parish of church. Originally, it was an extensive ancient parish covering the whole former municipal borough of Stourbridge except Pedmore. This included Wollaston, Light and Norton, which were part of the same manor. But Stourbridge and Ambercote, while in the parish, were separate manors. Ambercote was formerly in Staffordshire, but the rest of the parish, south of the River Stour, was in Worcestershire. Both Stourbridge and Ambercote were formerly administered separately from the rest of Oldswinford. The parish church of Oldswinford is St Mary's Church. The manor of Oldswinford changed hands from the time to during the Middle Ages as a result of political upheavals and the changes of fortune of its overlords. It is questionable whether these great feudal lords ever visited this manor. The supervision of peasants, customary service and the collection of dues and fines being left to their stewards. The Littletons seated a few miles away at Frankley until their house was destroyed during the Civil War, causing them to move to Hagley, which you've got Hagley Hall, and Hagley Hall's only down the road from here, so that information ties a bit into Littletons there. So looking down into here, so in 1564 they were a dominant local family until the 17th century, when having fallen from favour and lost much of their wealth and involvement in the gunpowder plot and the royalist and Roman Catholic causes in Stuart times, they were superseded by the Folleys, whose wealth based on rapidly expanding iron industry. Their name sometimes formerly written Oldswinford. This spelling is used for Old Swinford Hospital, a voluntary aided school with boarding houses, founded and endowed by the ironmaster Thomas Fowley. The parish name of that of Kingswinford derived from Swineford, perhaps on the crossing of the Stour, and that also gave the rise to the name of Stourbridge. The road crossing there was the main road between the Saxon burghs of Worcester and Stafford. However, it was crossing of the Marner Brook that runs east of the church, and under the Brook Road between the two houses, I think that's the Briars and Four Willows, Oldswinford. So it says there are numerous pre-1900 buildings remaining in Oldswinford. The area has also heavily been developed by upmarket private housing since the 1920s. So there is quite a lot of information behind this place. I mean, the church has quite a lot behind it as well. You imagine this is where all the history starts from, is a church, because they date back so back a bit. You can imagine how old these places are. And that's why it's nice to visit. If you're into your history, churches are always the first place to come if you want to learn more about it, because some things on the wall, you see date 1700s, like the James Foster thing down there. That is really amazing to see that. So Foster Rashwick and Company, you know, it all ties in, adds into one. So right, if we just go down, I will just show you the side of the church. So if we have just a quick look, I mean, you can just see from this corner, look how old it is from the outside, look at that. Beautiful architecture as well. We've got some like faces peeking out the wall, got a symbol up there, but you can just see right the way to the top. It's like castellated right at the top of there, look where the bell tower is and the clock. Really old, but it's really nice to see it, and the inside with them stained glass windows is just absolutely really cool. But yeah, let's go and journey on now. We're going to move down to the canal line now and go and check out down there. But the bonded warehouse also holds much history for Stourbridge. Let's go and head further down. So right, we've made it out of Oldswinford now. We've actually made it to the canal section. If I just pan around, I'm actually standing right on top of a weighbridge. Look at this. So this is a weighbridge just here, look, which you can just see. I think that's Ante Avery Limited, Birmingham, England. There is actually one of these on the opposite side over there, because it used to be like a row of old factories going back down the bottom. I think the loss extended right the way at the back. But this is interesting, the bonded warehouse, Stourbridge Navigation Trust. I've been in there a few times actually. It's really cool inside there, seeing the old beams in the ceiling. But it does actually date back quite a bit, this place does. I will go around the other side, I will quickly just show it you. But I mean, you can just see there is like a cellar part on that section. You've got the canal basin just right there. That's actually where they used to bring the goods up and down on the barges. I think it was actually lifted up by a crane system just right the way at the top. But that's that was going back many years ago, that was. But I think they actually used horses on here as well to transport the goods up and down the section. I will quickly go down the back, I'll show you down there. So yeah, you can just see that section there where you go in, the bonded warehouse. Let's have a look what's around here. It does go around the back, look, you can just see. I mean, looking up there would have been some very old parts. I do know there was some like old mill stuff over there. Some big like steel things that went across here. I've seen some old photos. That is really quite cool seeing that though, and especially the if I just have a quick walk down, you can actually see the little bit of the canal section just down onto here, look at that, absolutely really cool. So it does say here, the Stourbridge Town Arm Canal spurs from Worsley Junction off the Stourbridge Canal linked to the Staffordshire and Worcestershire Canal route. It terminates almost in the centre of Stourbridge at a wharf upon which its bonded warehouse was built in 1779. Thought it was 17th century. The building was originally a two-storey brick structure, approximately 20 feet wide and 70 feet long, with the interesting feature of a semicircular east end, which I showed you around that corner. The apsidal east end shows the form of the original 18th century building, which was raised another storey and extended some 12 feet on the canal wharf side in 1849. The building was carried over on the wharf on an open arcade of iron columns, but this space was later enclosed by brickwork in about 1900. So just behind me right now there is a big cellar down there. I've been down there once. Heidi, who runs the trust next door, I paid to go in. She actually showed me down there. It's really quite interesting, so much appreciate for you doing that for us. Let's have a look down here. So it does say, after a long and checkered history, the building now serves the community for a wide range of functions, paranormal activities, you know, little venues like you can go and have groups, meetings. It is quite an interesting place if you do want to book it. But it says there as well, in the 16th century, glass making developed in the area because of the abundance of coal and high quality clay for furnace bricks and glass melting pots. There is glass industry down this canal line, which I will show you. So there, Stourbridge area gained an international reputation for the production of decorated domestic glassware. A lot of interest, and even here the great canal builder James Brindley had in 1772 completed the Staffordshire-Worcestershire Canal, which eventually connected the River Trent and Severn via the Trent-Mersey Canal. Unfortunately for Stourbridge and the adjoining parishes, it did not serve the area's great coalfield. This moved Viscount Dudley and Ward together with the other local landowners and industrialists to plan a branch from the Staffordshire and Worcestershire Canal to Stourbridge. 3 miles downstream from Stourbridge, the canal passed through Stourton, and this was where the connection was to be established. A lot of history, so if you do want to learn more about this, then I will drop it in the comments. But let's go and move down, let's go and take a look at the old factories, what was on the bottom. So right, you can just see on this section, look, there is quite a lot of old derelict offices. Now I do believe as well on this section there used to be a very old factory stretching all the way across where it's all been like fenced off, look. So you can only just see the brick remains of the old factory just right there. And looking over the other side, used to be factories all over there as well. So if many of you do remember what was over there, then feel free to chat about it in the comments. It is really interesting. I used to know what was over there. It was a big, massive work industry. I can't remember what it was typically for, but that was really quite cool, seeing that back in the past. And here, there is building some new things over here. Those are built really quite quick. To see those up like that fast. And there is a bridge here. We've got John Bradley and Stourbridge 1838, so there is like a date onto the bottom of there. It is like a little black bridge, but it's enclosed by this fence, so that would have led back into like another factory section down onto that corner. So right, I'm just looking over here. I think this is actually where Foster Rashwick and Company was actually situated many years ago. I might be able to show you if I just go further down at the minute. You can just see it pass off in a section of the canal line. It's just literally right onto the corner down onto here. So yeah, I don't know if you'll be able to see it. It is covered by trees at the moment. I did see it ages back in the past and it was quite visible. The factory used to be there, and I will actually post a photo on that when it was actually derelict, so you can actually see it. But I'll get a bit of information on it. I will tell you a bit about it. What's interesting about the place over there, which is actually Line Healthcare today, it does say the Stourbridge line was the first steam railway locomotive to be tried out in the United States. It was also one of the first locomotives to operate outside of Great Britain, where it was manufactured by Foster Rashwick & Co of Stourbridge. Construction was completed in early January 1829. A couple of photos on for you now, so you can just see the Stourbridge line in 1828, and then you've got the Anganoria in 1829. So there is some really quite interesting stuff right there. The trials were unsuccessful beyond establishing that a 2-axle locomotive of required power was incompatible. Weight and stability wise on this sort of track, which the Delaware and Hudson Canal Company were prepared to adopt. The locomotive evidently acquired the name from the image of a lion's face on the front of a locomotive. One source stated that the lion's face was in bold relief. The cylinders were 8.5 inches in diameter with a 36-inch stroke. The boiler was 48 inches in diameter and 10 foot 6 inches long. The working pressure was 50 psi. Oh wow. So Stourbridge line was one of the first locomotives to be built for the Delaware Hudson Canal. The 2 others were built by Foster Rashwick and Company, Delaware and Hudson, and Robert Stevenson and Company. And they completed their and shipped their locomotive, the Pride of Newcastle, in late 1828. So you can just see there, and several months before any of Rashwick's locomotives. However, it was the Lion which was used for the first trials on the rails. Quite interesting information there, so you can just see a bit about the Stourbridge line in 1828. Right, this is quite interesting what I'm coming up right now. This is a really old bridge, and if I just take a look, this was actually cast at the Coalbrookdale in the 18th century. So have a quick look around. I don't know if you'll be able to see it, but that actually says John Bradley and Co. To see Coalbrookdale, and Coalbrookdale was actually where they had most iron. I know some churches had like steel erected for like staircases. A lot of stuff for Coalbrookdale, even on the River Severn, some of the bridges were actually cast at the Coalbrookdale, so a lot of information behind that. But if you do want to learn more about Coalbrookdale, and I will pop it in the description for you, I'll drop a link so you can go and check it out. But it's a nice canal line. I mean, if I just zoom around, look. So yeah, it is absolutely really amazing seeing the history down the canal lines. That is actually why I love the Stourbridge Canal, because there's much history behind it about the old works. You've got the glass industry, not only that behind Foster Asterix, it's just amazing. But this journey further down, we're heading down the Stourbridge Canal arm to meet down where the glass works is, just right at the bottom. So yeah, just down here there is like a very old glass industry just onto the corner. You can just see this further down. Can't zoom in at a minute though, but there is like the old industry starting to appear from the side of the canal. So I will actually show you a bit further down. So right, you can just start to see it a bit more better at the moment, but you can just see the factories actually start here. You can see the big, the side cone just over there, look, peeking right the way out. It's big and tall up, it's massive and round. Just there, if I just stop, I will actually point to it. Right the way there, look. And there is, if you go down, if I have a quick look down onto here, I'll go down, because we will actually come past the other glass industry, which is the museum today. So I will actually show you the canal side cone there. But look at this, a lot of old industry. I mean, look at the old windows up there, the old loading bays where they may have took stuff in many years ago, because that's why there's actually arches. A lot of stuff back in the Black Country days was brought along on barge. That's why we got a towpath. But you can just see a lot of old side bits there, and they're really old. Look at that, bits of brick are missing. But really cool to see some like old glass industry. I think part of it is actually still being used onto that corner. But yeah, I'll go and show you the other glass industry, which is at the bottom, which is actually a museum piece. And then coming further down onto the canal line from this section, you've got like a very old bridge. It does look like early 1900s, maybe 1800 Stourbridge from the brickwork. A lot of the old bridges are made from very old brick, and you can tell from underneath them, some of them are starting to like come apart, look really old. I mean, looking at this, there is something sticking out right here, look at that. Got something sticking there. And like this bit here for whatever that was actually for. But looking underneath it, a lot of the bridges on the way to Stourton actually look like this. Look at that, you can definitely tell it's really old. I'd say 18th century just by looking at that. But nice to see Chubb's Bridge. And it's going to have a look at the information board. We've also got some old cottages down here onto the corner, which I'm just peeking right from the section. Let's go and have a look. So it does actually show you a map where you can just see little glass industries starting to peek out, look at that. It's got different numbers and it tells you all the different ones. We've got a map here of something right the way there, what's inside one of them cones. So the furnace is. You can actually go into one of these, but I think you can't fully go into it down on the museum one, just down further down. You've got Junction Cottages. These cottages on the corner here are really old as well. Junction Cottages, so a little group behind you just onto the corner, appeared in 1829, so they are really old cottages, 18th century. And it says there, besides the cottages, Auden Brook passes beneath the canal to join the River Stour. So looking at that Tudor crystal, so it says stuff there about Tudor crystal. And like there, I mean 18th century, again about canals, I can't really see it much, but I will tell you a bit of information on my side. So yeah, I was going to tell you a bit of history about the glass down by the museum, but I think I'll tell you here because it is quite less windy. It's a shame they've actually graffitied onto it, because I could have told you a majority of the issue that was actually on the board. So it says here, the story begins, the glass industry was established at the beginning of the 17th century by glassmakers from the Lorraine region in northeastern France, who were attracted to the area by the rich natural resources, the availability of coal for fuel and fire clay for making furnaces and melting pots. made this area a perfect location for the glass making. Coleman's Glasshouse, and Ely was probably one of the first glasshouse in its district, constructed in the early 1600s. Oh wow. As the first glasshouses produced windows and bottles, it was not until the end of the 17th century that glasshouses began to make lead glass tableware, for which the area is now famous. So you can imagine a lot of the glass industry. So the glass industry grew and evolved for the next 275 years, and glass from Worsley, Ambercote and Brawley Hill is recognised as amongst the finest in the world, and has been used countless times as gifts of royalty and visit dignitaries. Its golden age for the Victorian period, when firms introduced a dazzling array of cameo, coloured glass and crystal that equalled the best in the world. So that's quite interesting, seeing a bit of information about the glass industry. So in World War II, the fortunes of the glass industry slowly declined, and failure to modernise, foreign competition and changing tastes and all contributed. So the cone also disappeared from the landscape. This was not a reflection of declining fortunes. Technological developments overtook them in the 1850s, and industry is not sentimental. They were difficult to maintain and took up space, and if a company has no use for it, why not demolish it? However, it was symbolic that one of the traditional sites of glassmaking were disappearing. So it says there as well, I mean, unfortunately the final decades of the 20th century saw the loss of 4 major companies, and in 1990 Thomas Webb & Sons closed in 1995, Webb Corbett was closed by Royal Dalton, and the Royal Brawley Crystal went bankrupt and closed in 2000. A new works opened in 2002, the Dartington Crystal acquired the company in 2006, but closed the works in 2007. And in November 2001, the closure of Stewart Crystal was announced by parent company Waterford Waywood, and the loss of 220 jobs altogether. A lot of information there, so I will drop a lot of the glass industry if you want to learn more about it and what it is in the description. So after this video you can click on the description, read more about it, spend a bit of time, because I've been reading quite a lot about this glass industry, and I'll tell you what, a lot of it is really interesting. You've even got Vic Balmforth, who works for the Ruskin Mill. If you go over there you can actually see him making glass sometimes, and I was going to do an interview with him going back a while ago, but it is really interesting to see what is made, the price of it. The prices are really expensive, they range from 2,000, 10 grand, 5 grand just for glass, and when you look at them, they're not just any glass, they're just pretty much really fascinating to look at, and I can imagine the price of them. That is where the industry is, and today the price is, wow, it is amazing to see their work at very high costs. So right, we're off back down the canal line. We're going to meet a junction which parts off on the right in a minute, but there's quite a lot of wildlife down here. I've been watching the swans for about 2 minutes. Got the swans over there, got some Canadian geese, and even more swans, look. I do know sometimes the swans have had the babies down onto here. Can hear some little birds, so I don't know whether some baby swans. I think they're actually those there, but those are like early this year's. But looking down, there's even more. Got more hens, coots. Wow, a lot of interesting wildlife down the Stourbridge Canal. So it's not just for its history, it is definitely also for its wildlife, look. So right, we are coming up to a junction now, but it is so clear in this canal. I've never seen it so clear down into here before. I mean, looking down, what's interesting, I have noticed it's all sandstone from there, look. And a lot of things down the back end of Stourbridge to Stourton and Kimver, there is a lot of sandstone caves. But there's really, I've never ever noticed that, whether it's like some of the stuff's died back and it's revealed it. But I actually didn't know there was sandstone near the junctions, what part of Stourton, and also to the back areas down there. So here we are, here's that little like basin what parts off, and it comes off to the 2 different sections. Left Stourton, behind Stourbridge Arm Canal, and it's Birmingham. So we'll go that way. That's where we're heading, is on the right, I believe. But that goes all the way to Stourton, further down onto that section, down onto there. Let's go and check out this bit. another 18th century bridge, Henderson Bridge. Looking down there from the lock, look, can see there's a bit of water trickling now, so I bet you a barge has gone from up there. And also back there, look, got another overflow system. But I can just see, if I scale up here, I did see that cone where the museum is. Let's go and have a look. So there it is, there's the museum, Wearhouse glass. You see there, Wearhouse glass cone just appearing right there. There is an information board, so I will quickly just show it you. Let's get down onto here. So it does tell you much about it. So you can just see there is a bit of rue graffiti on it, so I do apologise. But you can just see an old map, you can just see the glass cones. You've got Richardson's glass cone, white glass cone, the one where we am, that's a Wearhouse glass cone. You've got the ivy mills, look at those, really old interesting photo there. And you've got part of the ivy mills complex just right there, look at that. And that was in 1992. Got a very old photo there of them actually working within the glass industry. And there it says the name Stewart came when Frederick Stewart founded a new company in 1881. Their photo. He had an apprentice under successive owners. And this is there, Stewart's son, also Frederick, bought Greenbank House in 1901. Business expanded to buildings across the main road and production on the Wearhouse site ended in 1936. The cone remains open to the public, a monument and museum to the history of the glass industry. I think there is actually tunnels under here as well. I've actually heard someone tell me you can actually book tunnel tours under here. I don't know what the tunnels are for. I really have no idea. But looking at this, I will quickly tell you that it does say, if I just pan around, in 1776, the Act of Parliament authorising the canal building of the Stourbridge Canal was passed. The canal was built under supervision of engineer Thomas Dadford Jr. and completed in 1779. The Stourbridge Canal was funded by John, 2nd Viscount Dudley and Ward, the Earl of Stamford, Thomas Fowley, probably John Foster and John Piddock. As its opening, it property cost £38,000 to build this canal section. That is really crazy. The route of the canal reflected the pattern of existing coal, glass. It's really hard to read this because of the graffiti. Brick and ironworks open a new transport route through to the River Severn. Map here for you now, so you can just see there's a map there telling you the canal, the Stourbridge Arm, linking back over up to Dudley, look, so you can see sections there. Wow. I mean, the cone structure, spare me 1 minute, ignore the graffiti. I don't know why people actually do it. The cone structure, 100 feet high and 60 feet across, was originally known as the Red Glass House and built around 1790 by the industrialist Richard Bradley. Its shape draws the coal fires of the furnaces, so effectively they can reach the temperature of 1,000 degrees. See, that is really high, the temperatures of that. But wow, it is really interesting, needed to make the glass. The location was chosen to make the use of the new canal route and the Wolverhampton to Stourbridge Turnpike. Toll paying, a lot of toll paying on the canals. I mean, you had the weight of barges, especially by me. You had the tollman's office where he weighted the boats by their load. I don't know whether there's actually quite a load of those on the canal lines itself, but if you look them up, they are really quite interesting. But that's Stourbridge glass industry. I may come back here because we've got a lot to cover. I will show you around the museum in another Exploring the Black Country, but we will expand on the glass industry itself. But I'm heading on now, heading to Delph Locks. Bit of a journey. I will have a bit of cinematics for you. But it is a nice canal linking journey, so the rest of it's pretty much cinematics. But very old bridges as well down onto here, so let's go and journey down. Wind is picking up for some reason. I think it's only about 12 o'clock, so I've got a bit of time. But yeah, let's go and head down there. So just before we get to Delph Locks, Delph Locks or Delph 9 are a series of 8 originally 9 narrow canal locks on the Dudley No. 1 canal in Brawley Hill, in the West Midlands of England. They were opened in 1779 and reopened in 1967 following restoration of the Dudley Canal and the Stourbridge Canal in a joint venture between the Staffordshire and Worcestershire Canal Society and the British Waterways Board. So it was first built in 1799, has a length of 70 feet, a width of 7 feet and a fall of 85 feet. So the top lock is 441 feet, 134 metres above the sea level. So you can just see here, the Dudley Canal and Stourbridge Canal were originally planned as a single canal, for which a bill was submitted to Parliament in the spring of 1775. It was opposed by the Birmingham Canal Navigations, and so the project was split into two and resubmitted. Despite continued opposition by the Birmingham Canal, both canals were authorised by separate Acts of Parliament on the 2nd of April 1776. The engineer, Thomas Dadford, was responsible for construction of the Dudley Canal, which terminated a flight of 9 locks at its southern end. Construction was finished in June 1779, but the lock saw little use until the opening of the Stourbridge Canal, which took place in December. Dadford's son, also called Thomas, was engineer for Stourbridge Canal, and in 1787 discussions took place about amalgamating the two companies, but they remain separate, although they always work close together. The bottom lock at the Black Delph Bridge is at the termination of the Dudley Canal and forms a boundary with the Stourbridge Canal, which we are on right now. The flight has distinctive waterfalls, overflows and weirs, and rises from 356 foot 109 metres Stourbridge level to the 441 foot 134 metres level of the Dudley No. 1 canal. The middle 7 of the original 1779 locks were built in 1858. There is an 1858 marker, which I will show you a bit later on, as 6 new locks, reducing the flight to 8. Some ruins of the old locks are visible to the side of the new. Let's get down there. We'll go and check out the Delph Locks all together, because there is some old history as well which I mentioned, but I will drop it into this description so you can read much about it. But seeing the dates on the side is really quite interesting. Let's get down there, let's go and take a look at the Delph Locks. So right, here we am. I've actually made it to the Black Delph Bridge. Just pan around just to show you. You can just there, Birmingham Canal Navigations and the Dudley No. 1 canal, which is where I'm heading. So it's going up to there now. I think it's a bit of a steep go up. Have a quick look. So as you can just see there, Birmingham Canal Navigations again, Delph bottom lock. I'll just pan around, you can just see the flight of locks going right the way up. Look, it's nice to walk down there, I've done it before, but again, like I told you the history earlier, there's much history behind the Delph, but I will go and show you the dates on the side. So right, just gonna have a walk up here. Now you can just see there is actually writing on here, BW Blades Tipton. So it's actually an old company. I will get a better view for you just right here. Look at this, right the way there. Old company now. I never ever noticed that. Very old company if it is. But looking right the way down, look at the drop alert. This is actually the first lock for the Delph. It says there, just right on the corner, look, 1858, just right there in carved right on. It is a bit hard to read for me because it's really old. I mean, looking from there, that overflow weir there goes from that section, but if you look across, there's actually multiple. There's like about 9 of them, and they go right the way to the top, up to the top bridge. So imagine how long it takes a barge to come down from each section for me. It is quite really interesting. But yeah, the Delph's a nice place to come if you love your history once more as well. But seeing that date of 1858 is actually really quite impressive. But you can see each lock, the whole 9 locks have 1858 onto them. But wow, yeah, I don't know how about to get over there. We'll have a quick look actually. So I will leave my bike there. I think it'll be alright. Let's have a look. Look how dangerous this is. Right, we're on by the weir section just down to there. There is actually steps leading down. But you can just see, look at that. Better view of the weir, look. You can see it right from there. And you can see a better angle, look at that from that section. That's really quite cool. Nice view. So basically, yeah, what an interesting day. Back on the Dudley No. 1 canal, from where I left off by the Round Oak Steelworks in the last episode. But just right at the top there is something else quite interesting. I did see an old photo on Facebook. I think it was some blast furnaces down by where I think it was a Marks and Spencer's. I will pop a photo on for you now so you can just see it. It is really quite interesting. I was actually reading it online and some information about something else that was up here. So you do learn quite a lot. On Facebook is always a good place to go in some of the old, you know, black country history groups. But yeah, I think that's about it. But I think I'm going to terminate the video here because I've got a big journey back now. I've got to go all the way back down the Dudley No. 1, Dudley No. 2 canal. You can see the sign there, Merry Hill, Dudley this way. So I've got to pan around Parkhead Junction, down to Neverton, then to Halesowen, so it is a big journey. But thanks for watching Exploring the Black Country. I will be back in some more episodes soon. But yeah, interesting journey. See you on the next one.